People with dementia don't appreciate the fact that they're older people. Maybe they're doing some time traveling as a result of their dementia. They think they're younger people. And you are very nice to them. And you're smiling and you're caring and you're touching them sometimes in intimate ways. And they may get the wrong idea. And yet from their perspective, it's the right thing to do because they want to have a romance with you. And also they may forget their spouses. By the late stages, this is pretty normal for them to have a loss of long-term memory. In a marriage of 50, 60 years, those brain cells responsible for those memories may be destroyed. And so people may be living in the here and now. And again, they might think they're younger people. They might think they're even younger than you are, okay? And so they may begin to flirt. They may use suggestive talk. And in their minds, this seems completely appropriate. And then again, they might go into the sexual realm. They might grope, they might fondle, they might try to kiss you. These are uncommon acts, but when they do occur, they're always kind of shocking. So I'm wondering if any of you have had experiences of either this flirtatious talk, suggestive talk, or outright sexual acts directed towards you, because it happens now and then, and we want to be able to give you a chance to talk about it.
When you're helping somebody, you have to get really close sometimes, and so sometimes it's just inevitable if you don't know it's coming. And there was this one time when I was helping a larger man, so I had to get really close to him to help him sit up, and he did like kiss my chest, you know, and it was just, I redirected him.
How did you feel when these incidents first occurred?
In the beginning, I was very surprised. It didn't bother me too much, but then kind of as time goes on and it keeps on happening when you least expect it, it gets a little frustrating sometimes. But you got to remember that, again, they don't know what they're doing a lot of times, and it's their disease or what they have that very much attributes to their actions.
And were you able to redirect successfully?
Yes.
Very good. Sounds like you handled it very well. You didn't take them personally, right? And you did set limits. You were very respectful. And I think the proper thing to do is to redirect or to say something as direct as, well, I'm spoken for. I'm married. I'm in a relationship. I do value our friendship, but we have limits to this relationship. Now, of course, saying that is one thing, but them remembering it is a different thing altogether because of their dementia. So this may have to be repeated time and time again. It's also important to say, you know, what triggered this behavior. As you pointed out, you're engaged in some very personal, intimate kinds of tasks, right? Dressing and bathing someone isn't natural unless you're doing that to a young child. In this case, they're full-grown adults. And so they may distort this situation. Instead of thinking it as a task that they need help with, they might think about this as an opportunity for a little sexual play or flirtatious behavior, okay? So it's always important to think about, you know, what is their perspective on this situation? Any other kinds of expressions of intimacy or sexuality that we haven't covered? Is there any situation that you've been involved in that you found disturbing at first and that you'd like to share?
We have a couple who both are widowed, and they like to, as our staff, our team would call it, make out in the main dining room. And this does cause some people to feel very uncomfortable. So really for us, it's just about educating the staff. It is consensual, although we would like them to do it maybe in a more private place. We offer that, but ultimately, if they would like to make out, it's it's their right to do so. And we just tried to help them feel as comfortable as possible. And again, provide them place to be private if they'd like to be.
Well, I'm glad to hear that romance can flourish here, because in some places people are uncomfortable with that. And I've heard cases in which staff are put up by that and actually prohibit that kind of behavior. But as you pointed out, in this case, it was consensual. It was very obvious. Now, some of their public behavior might be off-putting to you and others who work here or who live here. And I think you're well within your role to try to tell them to reserve that for maybe a more private space, okay? But I love the fact that you honored their desires and their interest in each other. Because again, I think moving to a place like this, it can disempower people. They can feel cut off and lonely. And for two people to find each other, I think it's very calming, and you'll probably never experience any kind of depression or anxiety coming from those two as a result of their togetherness. Let's delve into some of these issues, because I think it really gets into, is someone really able to consent? Do they really know what they're getting into?